Hello everyone from Newcastle Fans TV. So on a day where the Great North Run took place and on a day where Newcastle United should have been playing West Ham away, I should have been down East London. The likes of Sam and Johnny should have also been there, as well as many as 60,000 in the stadium and across the whole of the UK. Football has paused to pay its respect to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who sadly passed away on Thursday night. I was humming and hawing to do this video because do we just stay quiet and just post on socials? Do we say something and pay our respects? And I thought the right thing to do was to pay our respects to a lot of people who are in mourning across the whole of the UK. And I think you've got to put, football is a massive release. It is for me personally. I can relate to the Queen, and I'll come on to that very shortly, but football's a massive release for me because I've had an awful year. It's picked up massively since July, but I don't want to go into it too much. However, football's a massive release for me, and when it came back, pre-season started to come back and the games started to come back, it was a massive lift for me. I needed it because I love travelling. It's something that I've always loved, even away from football. And to call the games off, I think it's a little bit. What I'm disappointed at is, of course, you've got to respect the royal family, but I think what I'm disappointed is that all other sports haven't followed suit as well. I think if you're going to call sport off, I think you've got to call all the sport off. You can't just decide to go ahead with rugby. You can't decide to go ahead with cricket and call the football off because speculation, I'll call it that the authorities, the powers that be, are rumoured to be a little bit worried about booing and disrespecting Her Majesty. And what makes me sick is that your stereotype fans have been labelled as that. So I've seen a couple of articles where it's Liverpool fans, Scousers, have been pointing the finger at, we can't host games because we can't trust them, because of obviously the history of Liverpool, in newspapers and the South, the Tories and so on. I don't want to get political, but it's also the finger's being pointed at Celtic fans for the religion. So I think that's disrespectful to that fan base, because there's a lot of good fans. I like Liverpool as a city. I go there 2-3 times a year. I love Liverpool. I think it's very, very similar in terms of the Geordies and the Scousers, the upbringings and the hard times that both cities have had. So I think that's disgusting to point the finger personally. But as I say, I think if you're going to have some sports go ahead and some aren't, I think that's wrong personally. I think Newcastle and the rest of the Premier League should have went on and played. That's my personal opinion. You guys may disagree in the comments. Please, have your opinion on this. But I think we could have shown respect in a different way, where you can put Her Majesty's picture on display on electronic billboards. You can have and I honestly do think that a minute or a 2-minute silence would have been impeccably observed. I really do. Or if you're even worried about certain fan bases, why don't you do 2 minutes of a round of applause? Do something a little bit different. And I think that could have been a great opportunity, because West Ham, funny enough, who we would have been playing, and West Ham also get the finger pointed at them, as well as Millwall fans. They showed that they were singing on Thursday night in their Europa League game, which was fantastic. They showed massive respect, and why can't football do that? I think we've been a little bit robbed by that as football fans, that we're being pointed the fingers, or labelled us in one bracket. So I am disappointed in that sense. I do, of course, fully understand why it has been postponed. On the other side, that the Premier League and the FA want to pay respects to the Queen. I think I respect the decision, I do, but I think you could have gone about it a different way. So I think pause in football, and it's probably, I would imagine, unlikely that our game against Bournemouth will go ahead now that the funeral is on next Monday. So I went down. It's going to be one of those moments in history where you, and of course, today is the 11th of September, and who can forget the the Twin Towers going down. It's one of those moments. I know exactly where I was at that very moment when news was breaking around about, what was it, 1:30 in the afternoon UK time. I know exactly where I was. And when the Queen died, I literally just finished work and I was with Liam going down to the women's game the other night, and it was still a shock, even though we knew that she was ill. She's the head of state, not just for our country. She's the head of state for a lot of other countries as well. Of course, she's more loved in this country because she's British. You know what I mean? But obviously, you're seeing Canadian Prime Minister come out and he's almost upset in these press comments. You know, she's the head of state of loads. Australians love her. Even Americans love her. A lot of Americans do love our royals. I'm not personally a royalist. However, I do respect when sometimes you've got to pause. So, as I say, if the football's going to pause, then the cricket and the rugby has to pause. You've got to be united together. And, you know, the Queen passed, and I've seen some horrible, horrible stuff. And it gets to us. Because at the end of the day, she's a grandmother, she's a mother, she's a sister, she's an auntie, she's a great-grandma. And people are taking the piss out of her on Twitter. I think that's so wrong. Because if that's my granny, you know. But I can relate to her. I think it's just horrible. Maybe I've got soft at my age, in my mid-30s, but I thought I've seen a lot of that, and I think it's disrespectful because she lost Philip not so long ago, and she sat on her own at his funeral, whilst our government are out partying, breaking the rules, the lockdown rules. And there's a picture of her sitting on her own. That really, really gets to us, because at the end of the day, yes, even if you don't like the royals, she's got feelings. She was born into this role. The kids were born into this role. All of them are born into the role. It's also like, yes, you can say, yes, she doesn't do anything. A lot of people say that, but she brings a lot of money, more money in the UK than she actually takes out of it. It's also I kind of feel like you're almost like a prisoner in one sense as well, because you're born into that life where you can't just like, I've got the dog here, you can't just take the dog out for a walk. You can't go to the shop, simple things you can't do. But I fell for her when Philip died, because at the end of the day, she's lost her soulmate, and whatever went on behind the scenes, whatever speculation and what have you, throughout the years, you know, she sat on the throne for over 70 years, which is an incredible achievement. And she's working 2 days before her death, which is incredible. 96-year-old woman. There's people in this country who won't get off the backside and work in this country. There's people who won't. Simple as that. And I've got a lot of respect, because she battled on without Philip, with her heart broken. And that's where I can relate a lot to that massively. I don't want to go in too much, but I can relate massively, and I've got massive respect for her battling on, because that would have not been easy. They're not meant to show emotion and stuff like that, but they're human beings at the end of the day. So there's just some nasty stuff I've seen which really got us. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it at the end of the day. But look, I'm not a royalist, as I say, but you know, I'm saying it from the human side of things, is that I can understand why she's the head of state. A lot of people do love her in this country. But as I say, the downside is that all sports should have stopped, not just one, because you're pointing the finger at certain fan bases and football fans in general, which I'm not really happy about, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's what I'd like to say about the Queen. I'm sorry it's not like your normal video, but there we go. We're all human. I'm a human. I've just nearly had a wobbler there, so apologies about that. But yeah, I thought we'll pay our respects here on NFTV. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.